Well, hello, first responder VIP. This is Teresa Scott. I am your founder, and for most of you, you know me as your friend. And I am so honored to be here today to introduce you to Mica Lunt with Lunt Consulting. He is one of our most distinguished business partners who also serves on our leadership advisory board. Can you give us an example of one of the maybe projects from a confidential standpoint so folks can understand what Lunt Consulting does? There's many divisions and things that the cities ask you to do. But can you share one example with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is something, and you touched on it, which I appreciate. We work with a lot of organizations, whether they be in the public sector or private sector, that are, for lack of a better word, struggling. They're sort of flailing to succeed, and that may be because they have very outdated policies that maybe aren't even legal, or they have a promotional process that has not boded well for them, or maybe they just had a bad, sort of one-time blip experience that they're having a hard time getting around. But in whatever case, they're sort of struggling through. And some of those organizations want our involvement to be out in the open and very public and transparent. That's cool. We can do that. Others do not. And they want that to be very private and for us to kind of help from the sidelines. And so we totally understand that, and we'll do both. But the biggest thing that I think separates us from a lot of other firms is that when we go in to solve whatever kind of problem that it is, we do our absolute best to develop a comprehensive understanding of not just that problem, but really the organization as a whole. And we do that from a data-driven, experience-based practice. My background in education is in psychology. And, a lot of folks are like, you got degrees in psychology and then you became a cop. For me, nothing better. I mean, whether that be talking to somebody on the side of the road and conducting an investigation, to trying to elicit information that folks don't necessarily want to share, to now talking with perhaps an employee of an organization that hasn't had a voice and is considering leaving that organization because of the incivility, or they're just like their feet are in thick mud and they can't really actualize. Being able to create an environment where that person is free to talk, and then incorporate that data with other reports from that organization, our overall observations, and then to be able to sit down with the senior leaders and say, here's what we've discovered as potential problems or setbacks, roadblocks, things that are holding you back. And here are some specific solutions that we can also help you with from a training standpoint. So that's kind of how we go about doing that. Some firms, whenever they need to select a new leader or they want to provide training, like even I'll get on calls with a potential prospective client, and they'll say, what do you do? And I'm like, well, what do you need? And
Right.
I always kind of turn that back around to say, why are you reaching out? And then I'll tell you if I can potentially help with that, and I'll tell you exactly how. So we really try to understand what the needs are and then engineer a solution that is really perfect for that organization. Rather than just, this is what Lunt Consulting does, and maybe it fits with you, maybe it doesn't. That's not our approach at all.